I'm here at Collins Barracks here in Dublin to see one of the greatest artefacts in Irish history.
This is the Catalpa Rescue, which is the escape of 6 Irish-born men in the British Army who had taken the Fenian oath and were arrested, convicted for treason and sent to a cruel prison in Fremantle for a life of hard labour. John Devoy, the man who had inducted these men into the Fenians, was sentenced to 15 years for recruiting them, but was later released after 5 years under a general Fenian amnesty and banished to the United States, where he joined Clan Gael and became the foreign editor for the New York Herald. But he never forgot the plight of his comrades in arms, who wrote him a letter describing life in Fremantle as a living tomb. Devoy enlisted the help of John J. Breslin, a trusted and capable man who was supplied with a fake identity and documents pertaining to be a mining magnate in Nevada, so as to have convincing subterfuge for his presence in Australia. And this provided the perfect opportunity for Breslin to get the men outside the prison walls. Devoy recruited an American naval captain called George Anthony, who had no ties to Ireland, by appealing to him that these prisoners were not criminals and were fighting for freedom. Being a brave and empathetic man, Captain Anthony took on the job. When Breslin heard that Catalpa had docked, he got word to the Fenian prisoners, and he walked by James Wilson and whispered to him, "Monday morning." On the morning of the escape, the prisoners met at the planned point, and when Breslin arrived, these men literally ran for their lives. One of the prison guards had caught on that the men had escaped and raised the alarm, and within minutes, the prisoners were being chased by the police. They got into a small rowboat and tried to row their way out to the Catalpa, which was 3 miles off the shore. As is common in a lot of escape yarns, they faced dreadful seas and were battered for the next 48 hours. Even when they made it through this, the next morning in the clear skies, a ship called the Georgette came steaming on them, all guns aiming. The prisoners made it on board the Catalpa and jeered at the Georgette as it peeled away, having run out of fuel. This left the prisoners to celebrate their first night of freedom in 10 years. The next day, the Georgette returned, armed with even bigger cannon, and started firing in front of the Catalpa. As a warning, it was at this point that Captain Anthony produced what could be said to be a master chess move and unfurled the US flag, basically implying that if they fired on the flag that they were declaring war on America. It was at this point that the British ship peeled away and that the men knew that they had truly achieved freedom. This flag is now in Collins Barracks Museum in Dublin for the 150th anniversary of this great brave moment that Captain Anthony secured the freedom for 6 Fenian prisoners who had been escaped from Fremantle jail in the one outright victory Irish Republicans have inflicted on British forces.